there are three types of fractions. Sometimes we talk about proper fraction. A proper fraction is when numerator is less than denominator, such as 2 over 5, 10 over 100, 27 over 65, 7 over 49. And sometimes we talk about improper fractions. An improper fraction is when the numerator is greater than or equal to denominator. Let's say when we have 4 over 3 or 9 over 4 or 100 over 55, for instance, or 5 over 5. As I said, when it's equal, is also considered as improper fraction. Then we have mixed fractions, which means there is a whole number and a fraction, like 1 and 7 over 8, or 3 and 1 over 3, 5 and 7 over 8. Of course, we can convert a mixed number to an improper fraction by first multiply the whole number with denominator and then add them up. This is multiplication, and then add them up by the numerator. Let's say we have 1 and 7 over 8. In order to make it to a simple fraction, we first multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add it to the numerator, which would be 15 over 7, which is an improper fraction since the numerator is larger than denominator. Or the next example, let's say we have 3 over and 1/3 of something. So we multiply the whole number by the denominator and add it to the numerator, which is 1, and the result will be 10 over 3. Sometimes we have mixed fraction and we are interested to add them up or subtract them. In order to do that, we separate the whole number from the fraction. Let's say we have 2 and 3/4, and we want to add it to 5 and 1/4. In order to do that, first we add the whole number together, then I'm going to write it down, then we add the fraction 3/4 plus 1/4 will be 4/4 equal to 1. So the result is 2 plus 5 plus 1, which is 8. Let me make some room here. Let's say we have 7 and 4 over 5 minus 3, 2 over 5. We deal with whole number first. 7 minus 5, 3 plus 4/5 minus 2/5. 7 minus 3 is 4 plus 4, because they have the same denominator, so we put the denominator down and we subtract the numerator. So the result will be 4/2/5. Now, I'm going to talk about rules of signs for fractions. When you have one fraction with positive signs and one with negative, we follow the basic rules. Here are the rules of signs. When the numerator and denominators are negative, the result is positive. When one of them is negative, the result is negative as well. Doesn't matter if the negative sign is in numerator or in the denominator. The result is the same. In both cases, we have negative fraction. Let's work it through some numbers. Let's say we have minus 10 over minus 5. The result is 2. But if it's 15 over minus 5, the result is going to be minus 3. Or if it's minus 7 over 14, the result is minus 2. Doesn't matter if it's in denominator or negative sign is in numerator. I'm going to clear the table and put some example for you out there so you can try at home and practice your fraction. Let's say we have minus 18 over 42 or minus 24 over 6. We can apply the same rule to a multiplication. Let's say we have minus 3 over 5 times 5 over 6. Or we have minus 4 minus 5. 2 minus 6. These are pretty much what I intended to say about fractions. Our next subject is percent. Percent. What does percent mean? A percent means how many for each 100 per 100. When we say 30% of something, 30% of students, it means 30 for each 100. If we say 55% of students are female, it means 55 for each 100. If you say 100%, it means, if you say 100%, it means 100 for each 100, which is to say all. 100, for instance, 100% of 24 is 24. If we say 50% of 24, it is 12. 50% is another way of saying half of something, because 50% means 50 out of 100. It means half. And again, if it's 25% of something, it means 25 out of 100. If it's 20% of something, it means 1/5. It means 20 out of 100. Let's say if we have 25% of something, it means since percent means out of 100, we write the percent sign as a handy way to write a fraction with a common denominator of 100. Let's say, instead of saying 12 out of every 100 patients are female, we would say 12% of patients are females. of patients are females. Let me clear the table first. We use percent very often in our everyday life. What percent of your shopping, what percent of your grade, what percent of your patients, or what percent of your chores is done. Anyways, since we are using it very often, it's important to know that a percent is not a number. Rather, it expresses a relationship between numbers. What percent, it means actually what relationship. What percent, for instance, has 6 to 12. 6 is 50% of 12. Or what percent has, for instance, 5 to 20. 5 is 25% of 20. A percent can always be written as a decimal by moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. To convert a percent to a decimal, we need to divide it by 100 and remove the percent sign. Let's say we have 75% of something. 75% or 75 out of 100, right? Instead of dividing that, we can go an easy way, and that is to remove the percent sign and move the sign 2 places to the left and put the decimal point sign. So the result is 70.75. Or let's say we have 15% of something, right? It means 15 over 100. We remove the percent sign and move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So it will be 0.15. can also reverse the process too by turning a decimal to percent. To convert from decimal to a percent, we need to multiply it by 100 and add a percent sign. Let's say we have 0.125. The rule says that you need to multiply it by 100 in order to make it to a percent. But the easy way is to move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and the result is 12.5% of something. Or let's say we have 0.35 and we are interested to make it to a percent, right? Instead of multiply it by 100, we can move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So 35% of a given number is your response. Instead of multiplying it by 100, you only have to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Let me clear the table first. There are easy ways to calculate a percent. To find, for instance, 15% of a number, 15% of a number, what we do is first find 10% and then add 5 more percent to it, and then you'll have 15% of the given number. Let's say we have a shirt marked $20. 10% of 20 equal $2. And 5% of that is half of $2 is $1. So 2 plus 1 equal $3. Let's say we have a jacket marked $90 in the store, and you are interested to calculate how much would it be 15% of that. $10% of $90 equal to $9. 5% of that equal to half of $9, which is 4.5, right? So to calculate 15%, we add up 10%, which is $9, and 5%, which is $4.5, and we get the price that is $13.5. Let's say we are interested to find 20% of a number. Let's say we find another jacket which is marked down $50, and 20% of that $50 is off. How much of this jacket is off, and how much we are going to pay finally? So in order to get 20%, again, we first find 10%. 10% of $50 equal to $5. Another 10% is another $5. So 5 plus 5 is $10 off the price, which is $50. So you pay $40 for the jacket. Let's say we are interested to find 30% of a number. To do that, we find 10% and multiply it by 3 to get 30% off. Let's say we find a shirt which is very expensive and it's marked $120, but this shirt has 30% off. How much would it be? So in order to find it, again we find 10% of the price, which is $120. So 10% of that is $12. 10% of 120 is $12, right? And now we multiply 12 by 3 and we get $36. $120 minus $36 equal to, you pay $84 for that jacket. So you can easily do it in your head. To get 15% off something, for instance, you get first 10%, and then add 5% to it. Or to calculate 20%, you find 10% and multiply it by 2. And if it's 30%, you calculate 10% and multiply it by 3. And that's how it works. Let me clear the table first. So let me put some numbers here so you can find the percent for it. Let's say, how much is 1% of each following numbers? Let's say we have 850 and or $5. Let's say $67 or 246. Now let's calculate how much is 3%. You have 66 or 89 or 1237. Now, how much is, let's say, 90% of the following numbers? 600, 70. Let me do the 70 so you could see how to calculate 90% of that. Let's say first I'm going to calculate 10%, which is 7, and then multiply that 7 by 9, which would be 63. So 90% of 70 is 62. For instance, if you have a shirt is marked $70 and 90% is off in an ideal situation, then the price come down to $60 off. So you only pay $7 for that shirt. Wouldn't that be nice? Our next subject is ratio and proportion.